so... Hey friends, it's Lil. Welcome back to my booktube channel. I am super excited for this video today. I am a huge second chance romance girly. It's definitely my cup of tea in the romance genre, and I am just a sucker for a good second chance romance book. So today I'm going to be sharing 9 of my favorites with you guys, and I can't wait to talk about all these. They're all 5-star reads for me, so let's just jump right on into the video. Okay, so second chance romance is some of my very favorite things in these books. Is a lot of them are dual POV, which I think is just perfect for this trope. I love being in the heads of both of the two main characters. A lot of these books also feature a then and now perspective, which I absolutely love. I love seeing the build up when they were younger. Later in the book we find out why they fell apart, and then I love seeing that second chance romance really blossom between the two main characters again. And with all of these books, there's just always this deep heartache that I have every single time I read them. Yeah, they just make my heart throb. They break your heart, but then they piece it right back together again. And there's just something about a book, when I have a heartache while I'm reading it, it's almost guaranteed to be a 5-star read from me. There's so much vulnerability in these books, lots of messy feelings, so much angst between the two main characters, especially when they're older, because they know that they have that undeniable chemistry. So whew, I just cannot wait. Let's go ahead and jump right on into it. So the first book I'm going to talk about is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I am absolutely obsessed with this book. It follows Elliot and Macy, and when they were younger they would spend summers at this house outside of San Francisco, and they really bonded over reading and talking about their favorite words. And then one night Elliot professes his love to Macy, and then something kind of happens and that blows up, and then they don't talk for like 10 years. And then they have this second chance encounter one day, and then those feelings kind of start to come back up. They both have their own lives. Macy's in a different relationship at this point, but Elliot coming back into her life kind of blows that up. But they just have so many sweet, tender moments when they're younger, and seeing their love really blossom there, and then coming back together. I mean, if this is like the book for It's Always Been You. I've been waiting for you to come back. There's never been anyone else like you. So let me talk about a couple of my favorite quotes. We have, I've been waiting for you to come home for 11 years. I'll go anywhere with you. And then, favorite word, he whispers, I don't even hesitate. You. So good. If you're gonna read any book by Christina Lauren, you have to read this one. All right, next up we have a book by one of my favorite indie authors, Taylor Torres, The Two of Us. This is her debut book, and it does not read like a debut book. It reads like she's been writing her whole life, and it's just fantastic. It follows Mara and Ambrose. So same type of situation with Love in Other Words. They were friends when they were growing up. Something big happens in their life, they fall apart, and then Mara is living her own life as an adult, but she has to come back to their hometown for a specific reason that you'll find out when you read it, and then she has to see Ambrose again. So then those feelings for each other build back up. And this is a perfect book to read in the spring and summertime. It definitely has all those perfect vibes. I was so invested in this book too. I really just wanted to binge it because I needed to be with Mara and Ambrose the whole time that the book was going on, but I did force myself to read it slow so that I could savor every single second of it. And this cover is one of my just favorite covers ever for any book that I've ever read. It's stunning. I love the purple. This book also features 2 love stories. You have Mara and Ambrose, which obviously most of the book focuses on that, but then there's also a nice little friendship between Mara and Ambrose's sister Kat that you get to see develop throughout the book as well. So one of my favorite quotes from this one is, I loved you then and I love you now, and if you'll have me, I'll love you until my last breath. The quotes in Second Chance Romances just hit so hard. I love it. Next up, you know me, I'm never gonna miss a chance to talk about my favorite author, Miss N.S. Perkins, and we have The Infinity Between Us. This is a perfect summer setting second chance romance. It follows Violet and Will. Their families had a house that they shared in the summer when they were younger. So they were friends, they grew up, they, fell in love. One big thing happens, they fall apart again, and then later in their lives, Violet comes back planning to sell the house, and Will shows up. He doesn't want the house sold, so they go through this back and forth, figuring out what they're going to do while they're spending more time together. They're rekindling those feelings for each other, and something about these characters in this book, it's so deep, and there's a lot of trauma that happens, but also so many laugh out loud moments that you just have a fantastic time reading it. And the main setting, come on. How can you pass up a main setting for a summer romance book? I just love it. And then a couple of my favorite quotes from this one are, "The gray of his eyes appears darker, more like a tempestuous sea than a calm sky. If I had to paint one thing for the rest of my life, it would be this." And then, so there's an infinity of memories within me and an infinity of memories within you. But the infinity between us, it's even grander. This freaking book, I love, love, love it. Love. All right, next up we have one that was pretty popular on Bookstagram and Book Talk and BookTube a couple summers ago now. We have Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This is my favorite book by her. It's the only one that I've given 5 stars, but it is another great second chance romance book. Kind of has similar vibes to Love and Other Words. This one follows Percy and Sam, and same thing, they had family vacations that were in the same area when they were growing up. They fall in love, something big happens, Percy leaves, then she comes back because Sam's mother has died, so she's come back for her funeral, and they see each other. Same thing, it's like a written guide for a second chance romance book. They see each other, they start spending more time together, they rekindle those feelings. Something towards the end of this book wasn't necessarily my favorite kind of twist that happens, but it is another perfect book to binge at the pool or the beach this summer. I really did like how we got a little bit into the head of both of the main characters and then also Sam's brother, and then it kind of helps with the story later on, really kind of understanding everyone's feelings and why things worked out one way rather than the other. And then a couple of my favorite quotes from this one are, "You came home, I squeezed my eyes shut, I came home." And then, "The way I felt about you was always so clear to me. Even when we were young, I knew you and I were meant for each other. 2 halves of a whole. I loved you so much that the word love didn't seem big enough for how I felt." Some great quotes in this one. All right, next, I can't pass up the opportunity to talk about one of my favorite books ever, Happy Place by Emily Henry. I love Win and Harriet so much. So the main synopsis for this one is that Win and Harriet were in a really long-term relationship for a while. They've recently broke up, but they are going on their summer vacation with all of their close friends to a little house in Maine. So again, perfect summer setting. They don't tell their friends that they broke up. They're kind of fake dating around each other. Obviously that comes out later on that they did break up, but they're forced to spend a lot of time together on this vacation with their friends. Again, feelings develop, things happen, and they do end up getting back together, of course, because it wouldn't be a romance book without a happily ever after ending. What I loved about this one too is it wasn't just focused solely on their relationship, it was also focused on their friendships, and it was definitely a mix of romance book, contemporary fiction, and women's fiction as well, which I really enjoyed. I was actually really able to connect to Harriet in this book, especially with kind of putting other people's feelings above your own. That's something that I've been working on not doing as much, but I think that's why I really did enjoy this one. And I loved Wynn. I loved the setting. Like, there's just so much to love about this book. And a couple of my favorite quotes in this one are, "You are in all of my happiest places." And then, "Before I even see him, my heart starts singing its favorite song. You, you, you." Queen Emhem, love you. I need you to write me another second chance romance, please. Then we have yet another indie author, my good friend Hannah Bird, Promise Me This. This one follows Leona and Callum, and when they were younger, Leona had studied abroad in Ireland, had met Callum. They kind of had like a whirlwind romance one summer. She left for a reason that you'll find out in the book, doesn't come back, and then visits kind of when her life is falling apart a little bit later on, reunites with Callum. They start hanging out again. She finally tells him the reason why she left previously. They really start developing those feelings for each other. This one is a very, very emotional book. I cried multiple times, and there's really heavy topics, so do make sure that you check the trigger warnings ahead of time. But loved the Ireland setting, it's so unique, and with the second chance romance, it not being like childhood friends to lovers or long-term relationship like we've seen in some of the other books that I've previously talked about. This one was kind of like a whirlwind summer romance. They truly did love each other. She was gonna come back, she didn't, and then she comes back later on. So a lot of angst and build up in this one, and it's just so emotional, and I just absolutely loved Callum and Leona as the main characters. And then my favorite quote is, "Loving you isn't something I could survive a second time." So good. If I could only read one trope for the rest of my life, it would definitely be second chance romance. Okay, next up we have Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score, and this is the third book in the Knock 'Em Out series. They're an interconnected standalone series. I'd definitely recommend reading them in order because there definitely are some plot lines that carry over across all three books. And this one follows Sloane and Lucian, and I was really, really, really excited for this book because Lucian was just giving suit daddy energy, and Sloane is a librarian, so we love our little bookish girlies. And same kind of situation here with some of the previous ones. They were friends and lovers when they were younger. They grew up, or something happened. They grew up, they kind of despised each other. It was like, not necessarily any enemies, maybe like frenemies to lovers because they really didn't get along. And the banter in this book was so good. They could really throw it back at each other. There were so many witty insults, but like not too insulty to each other, that you could just tell they were really just doing that, trying to avoid talking about their real feelings for each other. This one was super fun, and Lucian had such a heartbreaking backstory, and it was really emotional to read that, but just kind of seeing his character grow throughout the book was great, and he is truly a male main character that would do anything for the love of his life, Sloane. My favorite quote in this book was, "You remembered," she said softly. "I remember every second of us." I mean, yep. Next we have a duology, and this could be a little bit controversial, only because a lot of people aren't big Coho fans anymore. But I will still recommend this duology because I think it is really well done. It ends with us and it starts with us. A lot of you have probably already read it. If you haven't, this covers very deep topics of domestic abuse, so make sure you are checking the trigger warnings before you're reading this book or any of the books that I mentioned in this video so far. It follows Lily and Atlas when they were younger. When they're older, Lily is married to Ryle, and Atlas comes back into her life, and then they're kind of figuring each other out, figuring all their stuff out. Lily has to go through a lot of personal stuff in her life, some personal growth, kind of getting out of some situations that she doesn't want to be in anymore, and Atlas is just there for her when she's ready and needs the help. He's a really great book boyfriend in the fact that he's not like pressuring Lily to do anything that she doesn't want to do. He's obviously supporting her in all the decisions that she's making in her life, and moving forward. And it's just, these books are really emotional. They're a lot different than the other Colleen Hoover books that I've read. They're definitely more personal to her and a very heavier plot line. So this one was pubbed for a while, and then it really got a lot of love, and a lot of readers wanted to see a second book where Lily and Atlas really have that second chance at love again. So that's where It Starts With Us come in, and I was a little nervous at the beginning of this book because we weren't getting much romance, so I thought it was just kind of going to be their personal growth stories until the very end, but it really does start to build up again. And I really am happy that Coho gave us this book just so that we were able to see Lily and Atlas being happy again, kind of being in their own spaces, building their own little world together. So I personally think this is a great duology and perfect for second chance romance, especially to kind of have two books in one instead of just one standalone. And my favorite quotes from these books are, "In the future, if by some miracle you ever find yourself in the position to fall in love again, fall in love with me. He presses his lips against my forehead. You're still my favorite person, Lily. Always will be." And then, "In the past and for forever, you are my favorite person. Always have been, always will be. I love you, everything that you are." Such cute quotes. And then lastly, this is my most recent second chance romance that I've fallen in love with, and is by yet another indie author, Lindsay Lanza, A Little Magic. This book was just so perfect, and it definitely, obviously, is like a holiday romance, but you could read it any time of the year, and I just had such a great time reading it. I was kind of giggling, kicking my legs because there's so many cute moments, and you have a little glimpse into their past when they were younger, spending holidays together, and then older. And Theo's just such a perfect book boyfriend. He doesn't let Ellie's chronic illness define her. He just loves her for who she is. The development of the relationship felt so realistic to me too. It's a perfect It's Always Been You story, and I just love it. I feel like I'm being so repetitive with all these second chance romance books, but a lot of the overall plot points are obviously the same, but this one has just such a cute, sweet vibe, and I've fallen in love with Lindsay Lanza's writing style. She's definitely a new favorite author for me and a must read. So those are all of the books that I have recommended for you guys for this video. Truly hoped you enjoyed these recommendations, and if you read them, I hope you love these books just as much as I do. I am always looking for more second chance romance books to read, so if you have any recommendations, please drop them below. Also, I would love to do more videos like this in the future based off of other tropes in the romance genre, so if you have any other book recommendation videos you'd like to see, also let me know in the comments below so I can work on those for you guys too. That's all I have today. Thank you guys for giving me the chance to scream about some of my favorite books ever, and I'm excited to see you guys in the next video. Bye!